Satcher Pugh.
Yep.
What is it? Birdcreek Roofing?
Yep.
All right. I've been begging you to come on for how long now?
I think we met, is it 3 or 4 months ago, probably, somewhere around there.
Sounds right.
I was procrastinating.
Yeah,
coming
well,
on here.
you're not the only one, man. People are always afraid to get on the podcast. They're like, oh, I don't know if I want to be in front of the camera or whatever. Everyone's got their reasons.
It's a little out of my comfort zone, but that's kind of why I did it, why I accepted.
I love it. That'll be good for you. So tell me, with Birdcreek, how long have you been with them again?
So I started August 12th of 2024.
It's about a year.
And you're getting close to it, yeah. And it's been a journey. It's my first technical sales job. So
okay. Tell me what they got you doing.
Consulting, not really. We don't call it sales. It is sales.
So right. Sales isn't a dirty word, man.
Yeah. So it's a lot of, not most homeowners, they go through this process of replacing their roof. I guess in Central Texas, it might be a little more than this, but a lot of homeowners only go through it once or twice. So it's a lot of helping people do something they've never done before. Mm-hmm. We do it every day, so we kind of see all the different sides of it, and it's a lot of kind of making judgment calls on what the best recommendation is, and it's a grind too, because you've got to 100% self-produce your leads. A lot of door knocking.
Yeah, I mean, that's any kind of 100% sales job. You got to figure out a way to generate new business, and it's something we talk about on the podcast a lot, simply because it doesn't matter whether you're selling roofs or mortgages or homes or whatever. You gotta figure out how to get those clients. And with you being a year in, typically when I mean, I'll speak for myself. A lot of people think loans are like a commodity, right? And I bet people feel the same way about roofs, where they're kind of just like, well, aren't all roofs the same? Like, what's your price? What are you going to give me? Do you get those objections a lot?
Yeah. All roofs are not the same.
Right.
There's honestly, in this business, what you're fighting more than anything is roofers that are out to kind of pull one over on the homeowner. So, you're kind of, a lot of roofers out there they don't have the homeowner's best interest in mind. They're really trying to, make their profit and then get out of there. And so, and a lot of people do know that too. So you're fighting, trying to convince somebody that, hey, look, we're a great company. We do our great work, and we're, we keep the homeowner's best interest in mind over everything else. So it's a barrier to get over, but it's a lot of, you got to really add value up front more than anything.
Sure. What do you think is your secret? Everybody I find in sales has a different answer for this one, meaning, a lot of times what I've identified is that people like to work with people they like, right? Mm-hmm. And from there, is it price that typically comes next? Is it quality? And I know the answer is all of the above, but what do you feel when you kind of like make a sale or get that, that contract signed? For you personally, what do you think it is that the majority of the people are buying? Because it's not just the roof. Is it because they like you? Is it because you spent the time? Is it because they think you're super informative? Like,
I think it depends on whether we're talking insurance or cash,
okay.
Obviously. Because insurance deal, if the insurance company's paying for it, then the homeowner's definitely going to be looking more for quality. And that's why I love the company I'm at, because they've got a great reputation in the area that I'm working in specifically. That's Temple Belton area. We do work as far as San Antonio and as far north as Dallas. But yeah, Temple Belton, we've got a great reputation, and people really know us over there. So I think, you don't really, it's kind of the people that came before me at the company have built it into what it is now. And so I can fall back on everybody else's experience and knowledge and all of that.
Tell me a little bit about the difference when it's, someone paying for cash and someone paying for insurance, because I feel like the majority of people don't understand why it's different and why it matters.
So Honestly, paying cash, most of the cash deals that I've had, or I'll say the retail deals I've had, have actually been financed. So so it's
But it's
not.
not, it's still not insurance.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So well, I guess when you're asking what the difference is, kind of, what do you mean by that? Like,
Well, so you just mentioned that, when you're having conversations with people, it kind of depends on whether or not they're going through an insurance company or they're paying for it, whether it's out of pocket in cash or financed.
yeah,
Why is it different?
because it's not coming out of their pocket at the end of the day. So their value doesn't lie, or the value that they're getting out of the roof doesn't lie in the cost of the roof itself.
I see.
So you get a homeowner that's going retail. They're a lot more worried about the cost, and maybe they're willing to make some sacrifices on quality of the products that we're using and this and that for a cheaper price. Maybe they won't want a class 4 shingle. Maybe they'll go a class 3 or a
Gotcha.
standard dimensional. Whereas insurance, if it falls within their insurance amount and they can get an upgrade, you're building the value and saying, hey, look, this person is offering you a standard dimensional shingle, will upgrade you to a class 3 within the same amount of money.
Gotcha.
So their out-of-pocket cost would be the same in both scenarios, but they're getting a better quality. So you're building quality, or you're building value with the roof itself more in insurance, whereas, the price is a big, big component of their decision-making when you're going retail.
I see. What percentage of roofs do you think are insurance versus retail?
In our area, Central Texas, you're looking at probably, this is not a statistic, this is just based on
Yeah, I mean,
what I've
you're
done.
in the field, yeah.
Probably 95%
Wow.
are insurance.
Wow.
Yeah, because, we just get hit by hail every year. So, yeah, people don't really come out of pocket that much.
That's interesting. And do you ever run into situations where, somebody has an opportunity to maybe take advantage of insurance but chooses not to and goes retail? And if so, why?
You did that.
Well, we didn't really have an opportunity to go. I mean, we could have. We probably could have fought the insurance company and everything along those lines, but we had just moved in and our premiums are already so damn high. We just wanted to be proactive, basically. And so,
It happens sometimes. Like you said, people are afraid of their premiums going up. It's not that often. I think for the most part, if people can use their insurance, they will. A lot of the retail jobs that we go with, they end up being people that don't have insurance. And so that's why they end up going through financing and stuff, because not everybody's got, $20,000+ to replace a roof, especially if they've got solar on top of that. And it's just the bill can get very high.
for sure. I forgot about the whole solar thing. How does that work with roofing? I mean, is that lumped into the price because the panels have to be removed and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So panels have to be removed to replace underneath them. So it honestly, it depends situation to situation. Some people, their solar company that they bought the solar through, they won't continue to warranty it if somebody else comes and does the detach and the reset.
Okay.
So, sometimes they'll go through their own company. A lot of times, we've got Bell County Solar is a company that we use a lot, and we'll lump it in with the price. If their insurance is paying for it, then, generally the insurance probably won't pay enough for it, so we'll have to go supplement and get them to cover another, I don't know, however, we'll submit the bid, basically, from the solar company, and they'll add that money onto there, and then it won't get paid out of pocket by the homeowner or anything.
Gotcha. So going back to the insurance stuff, I mean, I'd asked you, what do you feel the main reason why people are moving forward with you, right? Whether it's they just like you or it's cost or whatever. And you kind of mentioned that there's a difference between the insurance versus retail. What was the answer to the question, though? You say 95% of it is insurance. What do you feel is, because I would envision most people are getting multiple quotes on roofs, right?
Yeah, for the most part. And And, you know, we run into homeowners that don't, but I mean, I guess for me specifically,
Yeah, what's your superpower, man?
I don't know if I necessarily have one. I don't want to I don't want to say it's any specific thing. I try to be very educational, and I try to make it obvious that, you know, like I take my time with it and show them all of the options that they have available and say, this is why this might benefit you, this is why this might benefit you. And then at the end of the day, it's up to them. You know, like I said, I do fall back a lot on the people that came before me at the company, you know, that they've built it into what it is today. And so, you know, we've got a whole lot of experience behind me. And, you know, we put on great roofs.
Does there seem to be a common denominator with the individuals that, you know, do business with you? In other words, is it just happen to be everybody, or do you feel like, oh, this is, you know, if, for example, you're talking to a client and it's a married couple, maybe all of a sudden you kind of feel better, like, oh, I like it when they're married, or I like it when they're single. Like, is there anything that you've kind of identified for you personally that you feel like you got a higher probability of closing if it's like that?
I don't necessarily think so. I think, you know, thinking back on the homeowners that I have worked with recently, they're from all kind of
Walks of life.
all walks of life, all backgrounds. Like you always say, everybody's got a roof. You know,
True.
Who buys? What is it? What's your catchphrase?
Well, like, who buys homes? People.
Yeah.
Right.
People buy homes.
People
People buy roofs. So
That's true. That's true. So when you're lead generating, for example, you know, you mentioned that a lot of it's canvassing. Is it really just going after neighborhoods that you know were hit by storms, or is there maybe neighborhoods that you know in general have, you know, certain ages of roofs, or what's the formula there?
everywhere I drive around, and you can ask my girlfriend. Everywhere I go, I'm looking at roofs as I'm driving. So
Okay.
yeah, so I kind of I'll clock a place and say okay, they've got a lot of wind damage in that neighborhood. You know, maybe I'll go hit that neighborhood, and you know, we've got an app that we can check storm data on in a certain area, and so you know, and then obviously if a storm hits, you know, we hear about it, and so we'll focus on that area for a little bit. But yeah, it's a lot of just, you know, if you know an area that's got damage, go to those houses and knock on the door.
Selling roofs sounds real easy when you talk about it, man. I'll tell you.
No. Don't get me wrong. It's not easy, but it does get easier.
Okay.
It was a lot harder at the beginning.
Why is that?
Knowledge.
Okay.
Yeah, you when you do it a lot, or when you do it for long enough, and like I said, I've only been here, you know, not even a year. So, you know, but I had a strong construction background before coming out here and stuff, and so it was learning the insurance process, the supplementing side of things. That was the complication at first. But once you get to know enough about it, and you feel confident in the recommendations that you're making to your homeowners, then you can, you know, guide them through the process better, and I think it just gets easier.
Yeah. What's the hardest part right now?
It's kind of a slow season.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and there's, you know, we had the Georgetown storm, and then we had the storm that came through Cedar Park and Manor, was it? No?
I'm not tracking them storms like y'all.
Trying to think. I don't know the Austin neighborhoods as well. So, but yeah, I mean, we've had storms here and there, but nothing super big. Obviously, Temple Belton had a crazy storm last year, and every roof in that area needed to be replaced because it was just, I mean, you know, the tornado and everything. It was insane. But I came after that, so I missed that whole jump, and you know, it's been. And I'm glad I did. It sounds kind of counterintuitive that like, oh, you missed out on money. Why are you know? But it gave me. It's kind of like I've heard you talk about it on the podcast. Like the realtors that started in COVID times, they, you know, were blessed. They kind of came in, and then like they were all of a sudden like, you know, kind of spoiled. And not spoiled, but you know what I mean.
No, they were spoiled. But at the same time, they left money on the table because they were still learning.
Yeah, and so it's like coming in after that, I feel like I really have had to be super intentional about learning it all and kind of learning to self-produce. It's not just the kind of thing where I can go knock every door on this street and they're all messed up and they all are looking for a roofer. Like it's I have to, really go out there and find homeowners that need my help. So
How's the networking stuff been working for you as far as getting in front of agents and, business owners and everything like that? Has that, given you any kind of opportunity at all? Still working on it?
I've got a real estate agent that I think she has sent me 5 houses
Who is
the
it?
last. Her name is Jody Nobles.
Shout out to Jody
Nobles.
Nobles?
Yeah. But yeah, I think she's in the Temple Belton area. But yeah, she sent me about 5. Not everyone's needed a new roof. So, but I mean, 5 in the last year is pretty good. On top of that, I mean, I come to the barbecue and mingle things.
Yeah.
I'm in the Temple Belton Board of Realtors, so I'm an affiliate member over there, so I go to those. But yeah, it's just being consistent,
That's what I tell
you
people.
don't
Trust
go,
the
you
process,
don't-
right?
Yeah, if you don't go, it won't pay off. So
Amen. So when you're, doing the prospecting and everything along those lines, if you just had like a big public service announcement, right? Like instead of having to tell everybody individually, if you could just get the word out there, what's the kind of the number one thing you feel like you're always saying every time you're talking to a client? What's something that no one seems to know that you're telling everybody?
I don't often tell people this specifically, but I do think that it is something that people should know. But there's really not a whole lot of licensing. Or you don't have to be licensed to be a roofer. So definitely, if you're getting your roof replaced, do your research on who you're working with, because
Yep.
you don't want to end up getting your roof replaced by 2 guys that decided to start a roofing company. You
Yeah.
know, 3 weeks ago, they have no licensing, no insurance, all this stuff, and they just slap a roof on, and you can never hear from them again because they go out of business within a year. Like it happens a lot. I mean, I think there were and take this with a grain of salt because I never fact checked it or anything, but somebody told me that when the Temple Belton storm hit, more roofing companies were started in that area than previously existed.
Wow.
So it's anybody can start a roofing company, and
You
there's
got
not
any
a
big
whole lot
roof
of,
horror stories that you've heard from people that you've talked to that you got to like maybe fix a job or finish a job or anything along those lines? Or go ahead.
You hear about them. I haven't personally dealt with a homeowner that's had it. I mean, kind of the horror stories that I've heard were more on the insurance side of things. Like I met a guy yesterday who his a lot of homeowners they don't know exactly what they're getting themselves into. They don't know the ins and outs of their policy as well as they maybe should whenever they're signing up, because it is super complicated. That's not a knock to any of the homeowners. It's just it's a complex game, and so they'll go to file their first claim after paying on a policy for 5-10 years, and the guy that I met yesterday, he was told, yeah, you can have $200 to
No
replace
way.
his roof. And I was floored when I found that out. Like I told him, I was like, I'd never seen that before. I mean, I've seen homeowners get $6,000 for a
Like a
$16,000 roof, stuff like that. But $200 and he's got to come up with the rest out of pocket it was surprising. So
That's crazy. So insurance is a big part of your.
oh yeah.
So you've made mention that you had a construction background. You know an awful lot about the roofing side. You've been learning and learning. What was the learning curve on needing to know all what you probably know now in respect to insurance?
Just seeing it happen. Like, I mean, it's a lot of repetition. You learn the different types of policies, and once it's basically repetition. Once you do it enough, you kind of get used to it. You know what to look for. You learn how to read insurance documents. You learn what's beneficial in this scenario versus this one, and so it's a lot of. I mean, it sounds kind of simple, but it's just experience.
And when you're doing the insurance stuff, how often typically do you find that you're dealing with somebody who, has little to almost no knowledge in regard to like what their insurance company is going to cover?
I'd say maybe 50%.
50%.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say like a lot of homeowners, they do know what to look for when they're starting their insurance policy. And especially in this area, a lot of homeowners have, they've done it before. Because like I said, they say a roof in Central Texas is supposed to last 12 years versus the 30 that they're normally supposed to last because we get so much sun and so much hail. And so a lot of homeowners have been through the process before. And you go through the process one time and kind of get screwed over, and you're like, okay, I'm going to change my insurance policy and get something better. So we do run into homeowners that do have a knowledge of their policy, but we also run into a lot of homeowners like the guy I met yesterday that just
How often do you think that happens where you need a roof that legitimately needs to be replaced? This isn't like a situation where like there's a couple like dings or whatever, and you get in contact with the insurance company and they're coming out of pocket with like 50% or even more.
I would have to. It would probably be for the most part all ACV policies. I think almost all ACV policies, which is just actual cash value. So it means that the person is getting what the roof is worth today, not what it costs to replace the roof. So those policies, they have non-recoverable depreciation on them, which is, I can go into that completely, but it just means that they're not getting the full value of their roof. Gotcha. And so pretty much all of those.
How often do you see that?
It's relatively regular. I'd be
really, so a lot.
Yeah, I'd be putting a random statistic, maybe 40% of the time.
That's a lot.
The benefit of that policy is it's a lower payment.
Of course.
So when somebody is, signing up for their insurance and they want to get their payment lower, their insurance agent might suggest, hey, go with an ACV policy. We can get your payment to here. And they say, okay, yeah, sure, I'd rather pay that much. But they don't know what they're losing. They don't know the value that takes away from them. We definitely see it a lot, but I'd say those are the policies that are going to be a person getting under 50% of what it actually costs to replace their roof.
That's interesting to hear that, it doesn't surprise me, right? People don't want to think about what could potentially happen up front, save a little money today, and then all of a sudden they're coming out of pocket thousands and thousands of dollars for a roof.
Yeah.
It's a bummer, man. What are those conversations like?
They're kind of tough. They're they're the harder part of this because there's not a whole lot we can do. I mean, we can offer financing, but we can't pay for the roof.
Rates on something like that have got to be close to double digits, right?
What do you mean?
Double-digit interest rates if you're doing the financing.
I'm not sure.
You don't handle any of that?
So yeah, we do it through a third party. It's a Acorn. Are you familiar with Acorn Finance? They do the you round up to the nearest dollar on every purchase and they'll invest the money for you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So they're partnered with the software company that we use for our CRM. So yeah, all of that is handled third party. I don't see the homeowner's interest rates or anything like that. I don't see any of their personal information, none of that. So it's a great question and probably one that I should know the answer to, but it's also one that's going to depend on what the homeowner's credit is and what their
now you sound like
debt
me.
to income ratio, all of that. So
can't you just give me a rate?
Yeah, I wish.
Yeah, same. No, I get it. Trust me. Now you're in my world. Again, with you doing what you're doing right now, I mean, it's almost like being a self-employed business owner. So you're outdoor knocking, you're looking for roofs, you're connecting with other, business owners and agents in hopes to, get referral business. Is there any investment financially other than, like gas and your time that you're making in your business right now to generate new clients?
Not really. I mean, I'll pay dues for the Temple Belt and Border Realtors, that kind of stuff. But no, I mean, it's a lot of just sweat equity.
Okay.
Get
you ever
out
thought
there
about
and
it?
find them. Thought about what?
Well, so we talk about like One of the things we talk about on the podcast a lot is real estate agents, where it's one of those businesses that you can get into and really have like no initial investment, right? So for example, if you decided that you wanted to start your own roofing company, you would need trucks, tools, and have to get probably like payroll companies because you'd have employees and everything along those lines. So there would be an initial investment that was associated with it. And then, I mean, roofing is a great example of, companies that do a ton of business, and therefore they advertise a lot. And, I would envision like, you're commission based, right?
Yeah.
So I was just curious, or even thought about if you've thought about the possibility of operating even more like a business, to where every single transaction that you close, you took a percentage of that and allocated it towards what you would do as a business owner to generate more business. So you're not doing that now, but number one, have you ever thought about it? And then number two, if you did have like a budget, what would you spend it on?
So, and that's the tricky thing about working for a company that's structured the way we are, is or you're asking if I was to start my own.
No, the company you're working for right now.
Yeah. So yeah, if I advertise for Birdcreek, which I'm 100% allowed to do, probably under certain parameters. I haven't gotten too deep into, what all those rules are, but if I was to advertise for Birdcreek, every dollar that I put in would kind of get split up among all of the different teams at Birdcreek. So like I pay for a billboard, it says Birdcreek's name on it, but then, if somebody calls, those leads get divvied up regularly. There's no way for them to...
maybe a billboard wouldn't be the best idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't thought too much into anything beyond that. I mean, I've potentially thought that, I had a conversation with with the CEO of our company at one point, and he said he was looking to potentially move into the Houston market in the next, he didn't put a number on it, but I'd say maybe 3 to 5 years. So yeah, I mean, if I was to be out there and there was only one team out there, then maybe it would make more sense to do that kind of thing. But other than that, I mean, I'm not really, my old owner operator, he did a lot of Google My Business. He put a lot of money into that, and it did do pretty well for him. So, I mean, that could be an option.
Yeah. I'm always interested when I talk to people that are in your position, because you run into this where you're like, well, it's not my company. So if I advertise this company and someone doesn't call me directly, am I like advertising for the company without getting paid?
Yeah.
And, Gold Stars, this is my branch, but it's not my company. And I've never, ever even considered doing like a DBA or anything like that, meaning like doing a business as, where I'd be like, oh, it's Matt's mortgage company. And then really we're going to send the business through Gold Star, which would be the equivalency of you being like Satcher the roofer, but Birdcreek Roofing is who you're going to get your business done with. I've never been in a situation where I've advertised or marketed or anything along those lines where I feel like I'm losing potential leads to other branches.
Yeah.
I will tell you from a marketing standpoint, I mean, I get so many phone calls from past clients or like closed clients from other branches, just because my social media presence and online presence is so much bigger than other branches. And maybe I am helping other branches from marketability, but I don't feel like I'm losing deals. But I think at the end of the day, what it really comes down to is profit, right? Like you just want to make more money. So hypothetically, if you were in a situation to where you were to save a percentage of your commission every single month, and I'm just using round numbers here, we don't need to talk about how much you make, but if you were basically saving, say, 10%, and you were saving $500 every single month, because that would be 10% of your commission, and you amassed anywhere between like $2,500 to $3,000 and decided what you were going to do with that, even if you pulled one transaction out of that, I bet it would pay for itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I think the average commission sits somewhere between 1,000 and 3,000. So I mean, it varies, and it can go way up, it can go way down. I've had some that were I paid a project manager to manage the project for me for a day, and he made just about as much as I did because I priced it wrong, and I was trying to make the homeowner happy and come in lower than the next person, and it was just it wasn't the deal that I should have taken, but.
Well, what are you seeing that Birdcreek's doing, or better yet, maybe even other companies are doing that requires money to be spent that seems to be working for either you guys or other companies?
So we actually don't spend anything on advertising.
Well, you are the advertising.
Yeah. So Birdcreek in general, we go strictly off of word of mouth. They don't have a marketing budget or anything like that. As far as other companies, I drive around all day and see roofing company billboards everywhere I go.
Like, who do you hate that's in your space that you're like, damn it, I hate that company because, they're eating your lunch from time to time?
I don't think any of them. I think
you don't
that
see
there's
ads from other companies or flyers from other companies or run into sales reps from other companies.
I do, but I think that there's a lot of and this was something that I was actually really shocked when I came here, because coming from Louisiana, it's I think the business side or the construction industry out there is a lot more, not competitive, but it's more everybody's on their own team and nobody's on each other's teams. Coming out here, everybody knows that there's plenty of business to go around, and people in Texas aren't starving. We're all, maybe some of them are, but they're probably not working hard enough. So I think one thing that it surprised me a ton when I came out here was that every roofer I met from other companies were sharing advice. Like, they were super friendly. None of them were like, oh, you work at Birdcreek? They were like, oh, okay, cool. Do you know this guy? Do you know this guy? Like, these are my friends at Birdcreek.
So when y'all are sharing advice and stuff, is there anything that other companies are doing that your company's not doing, or vice versa?
Advertising.
Yeah. So they are advertising.
Most of the other companies advertise. That's something that we don't do. Other than that, I don't think there's necessarily.
How are they doing it? Are they doing like pay-per-click online? Are they doing flyers? Are they
billboards?
Doing billboards?
All of it. So yeah, and part of me sometimes does wish that that we would, have a marketing budget. But
so if you had your own marketing budget, what would be the first thing you'd spend your money on? If you were running Birdcreek and you were the guy getting paid on any marketing that was a part of it, what would be the first thing that you would do, and why?
I think maybe advertise online more.
Okay.
I don't think. I do see value in billboards, but I think that dollar for dollar, I feel like you'll reach a lot more people advertising online. When people go to.
What about social media?
Yeah, I definitely see the value in that. Personally, I don't have social media. I have accounts out there, but I've deleted, Instagram and all the main ones. So, I'm kind of I'll scroll all day if I have those. So I kind of cut myself off from that. So I even if I did, have a social media presence and want to build a roofing brand, I feel like I would waste more time. It would be less beneficial for me personally. But yeah, I do see the value in it. If you can have a big Birdcreek, social media presence, then that would be beneficial.
I just think if I'm a potential client, and I think this goes for almost any business, the first thing I'm doing is like, knock, knock, Satcher's at my door. He's like, yo, you guys got hit by a storm. We want to do like an assessment, make sure the roof's intact, let you know if there's any issues. And then furthermore, if there is, we'll take a look at your insurance, see if we can get everything covered. Is that kind of the broad stroke gist of it, right? Yeah. So you're like, yeah, I think you guys would definitely be eligible for a new roof. Your insurance looks pretty solid. Like, we can put together a price, everything along those lines. I'm like, yeah, just get it over to me whenever. You take down my information, I take down yours, and then you leave. And then 2 hours later, another roofing company comes over, and they're like, knock, knock. And you're like, geez, you guys are everywhere, right? Mm-hmm. Like, the neighborhood's just swarming with roofing people trying to tell me that I need a new roof.
Exactly how it is.
So then this guy, I'm like, listen, I already got a quote from somebody else. And he's like, well, you don't understand. Not all roofs are made the same. We might be less expensive. We may be able to find some ways that we can get you higher quality products without spending any additional money. And I'm like, okay, let me get your information too. What do you think the first thing that most people do in any type of situation like that is?
Google 'em.
Yep, they're going to Google you. So I Google both of these roofing companies. And then in addition to that, I'm going to Google the name of the person because I got your card and it shows your name. One of them has like all of this information. They have a website. They've got a social media presence. I can see TikToks of the guy who was at my house being like, let me explain to you the difference in this roof and that roof. I go on Instagram if I'm a little older and I'm like seeing the same videos. If I'm a boomer, I'm going on Facebook and I'm like, oh man, look at that. Oh, there's the dude. Like, hey, check it out, honey. Oh my gosh, here he is over in this neighborhood, blah, blah, blah. Then I Google the other guy. I see just a basic landing page. I can't find this dude anywhere. Not a LinkedIn, nothing. I have no like record or even opportunity to see like the level of experience and everything along those lines. Right off the rip, who do you think I'm more considering calling?
Yeah. No, I 100% see what you're talking about. And I've thought about it. It's not something that I'm getting into right now, but I have thought about in the future, like, oh, what if I did that? But it would.
Well, I think about the average commission being $1,000 to $3,000. Gosh, can you imagine if something like that was losing you even like 1 to 2 transactions a year? What are we talking? Potentially, like just that's an extra $5,000 to $6,000 a year.
Yeah.
That's your marketing budget.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's your marketing budget. So I'm like, okay, these are things we talk about on the podcast all the time because it's like, oh, it's word of mouth, it's this, it's that. Like, definitely don't want to lose that sort of business.
Yeah. No, and I 100% agree. I've never kind of done the content creating stuff.
Well, you're doing it right now, man.
Yeah.
Surprise.
Yeah. First
so
time.
yeah, I mean that's the first thing, man. We're gonna get these clips out for you. We're gonna do all of the things, and that was kind of the point I was trying to make. Look at you, finally stepping it up, getting outside your comfort zone. We're gonna learn who you are and what you're about. And here's what's even crazier: I can almost guarantee you that after I post this video, within a week, you'll be able to Google your name, and this might be the first thing that shows up.
Actually, I had a homeowner that they got referenced to me by one of their neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know what company or anything like that. They just knew my name was Satcher and that I was a roofer. So they typed in Satcher Roofer, and my profile came up on Birdcreek's website.
See there?
So it's having a unique name is kind of good when it comes to being Googleable.
I would agree. And your profile on Birdcreek's website, it's got like photos of you and everything like that, a little bio.
Yeah. So if you there's a QR code on the back of my business card. They scan it and it brings up a picture of me with my name and everything, and then they can click through there to go see the reviews that we've got on our website and stuff.
I love that. Yeah, I'm actually surprised when my favorite thing is when clients are referred to me and they'll call me and I'll try to kind of do my thing and introduce, and they're like, no, we actually went online and we saw you and. We watched some of your shorts and your videos and everything, and they're like, we want to move forward. We feel like we know you already. It's a good look.
Yeah.
It's a good look.
Definitely.
So about 10 months in, what's the big goal, man? Is there a big goal to get to a number as far as like sales? Is there a big goal as far as like building a team? Is it, potentially making so much money that you just buy out the owner of Birdcreek, tell him he can retire, and you're going to handle all of the social media? Like, what's it look like? You're just figuring it out.
Right now, I think the goal is definitely just. I mean, I've recently gotten myself out of debt, so I've got my truck paid off and everything. My girlfriend and I are closing on a house, so I think the goal right now is to just build up the emergency fund and start investing.
Make that money.
Yeah. Make smart financial decisions in the immediate future, and if I can, make a killing along the way and save up even more, then that's great. But
I love that. Well, and you're young too, man. I mean, you got plenty of time to figure that all out. And I would just love to see you treating the business more like a business where you're investing back into it. And who knows, man? If you're doing something that works, right? You kind of take it back to the boss and say, hey, I've been spending X amount of dollars doing this, that, and the other,
Yeah.
and it's working. Show me the money, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think that somewhere down the line that maybe Birdcreek will invest more money into advertising and stuff, but they've got to see the value.
Exactly. Exactly. I agree with that, and hopefully you're the one that shows it to him, man. I've always wanted big things for him. Excited for you.
Thank you.
Is there anything roof related that is new or exciting that people are not hip to? I mean, technology in general is always advancing. Is there anything new in the roof space that you as a roof guy are nerding out about lately?
Not particularly.
Same old.
Yeah, I mean, to kind of preface this, like I said, I'm only a year in, so kind of all of it is new to me.
Yeah.
To an extent. But yeah, I mean, Class 4 is better than everything else.
What is that?
Class 4 is better than everything
What does that
else. Mean? It's basically, so they separate shingles based on impact resistance and wind resistance. So Class 4 is the highest that an asphalt shingle can get.
Okay.
Obviously, I say Class 4 is better than everything. A metal roof is going to be better than a Class 4 shingle roof.
Why would you encourage somebody to get a shingle roof versus a metal roof?
I would encourage them to get a metal roof versus a shingle roof.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Yeah. If they've got the money, obviously, this is what I was talking about earlier about, you make these decisions on what to recommend based on a bunch of little things. If somebody doesn't have the money to invest, then obviously it's not going to be the best recommendation for them. But if you've got all the money in the world, metal roofs are incredible. Like, they can last up to 70 years, even beyond that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a great dollar for dollar investment, especially with how much hail we get, because hail will beat up an asphalt shingle roof very quickly.
I see. And then basically a metal roof, I mean, is that more for somebody who plans on owning the home for an extended period of time, or would you argue that the value when someone's buying a home and they see a metal roof, they also they get the resale value, or is it?
Yeah, it 100% adds value, because like I said, that's can be up to a 70-year investment, and when somebody's looking at two different houses, but they're the same house, and one's got a shingle roof and one's got a metal roof, I mean, I would pick the metal roof all day. I think anybody, if the prices were the same, I think they'd pick it. If the prices were a little bit different and the metal roof was a little bit more expensive, I think it's still worth it.
How much more expensive is it
to install?
Well, I mean, if you were to quote a shingle roof replacement on a property and it's $20,000, how much is it going to be, for a metal roof? Is it double?
Yeah, it could definitely be double. Yeah. A lot of times I think shingles will be somewhere between $350 to $650 per square.
Okay.
And that depends on all the different aspects of the roof. Metal can easily be $1,000 per square.
Wow.
So
wow.
It can also be under. It depends on a lot of things. Like, not all metal roofs are created equal either. So I think generally they're going to be around $850. But yeah, you're not going to get a metal roof for anywhere under $600 a square.
That's crazy. Mm-hmm. But worth it if you're in it for the long haul.
Yeah, definitely worth it. Because, I mean, when you compare 12 years being the average for a shingle roof and 70 years, say even 60, I mean, that's a 5 times difference right there in how long they last. For
you probably get a much better rate on your insurance, right?
Yeah. So we're talking about a third more cost investment, but 5 times the lifespan. Yeah,
I see.
It's a no-brainer if you can afford it.
Yeah.
But affording it is the hard part.
Do you ever have situations where someone will replace their roof and then the insurance company will agree to pay for it, and then with the difference of what the insurance company's paying, and the homeowner will pay the difference for the metal roof?
Oh, yeah. Homeowners will upgrade to metal roofs. I personally haven't had that happen, but yeah, it does happen a lot. Because
do you ever talk about it though?
to my homeowners. I
Sounds like
haven't.
a great selling point, right?
Yeah, it definitely can be. I personally haven't had a scenario where it would have been Actually, I have recommended it once. The homeowner wanted to go shingle. They were comfortable with the class 4. So it was kind of, their call at the end of the day. Plus they were paying $2,000 for a 70 square roof, because that was their deductible amount, and to upgrade that would have been probably over $10,000 higher than what they were already paying out of pocket.
Can't sell what you don't ask for, though, right?
Yeah, true. 100% true.
I
But
feel like that's such a good upsell, right? Like, hey, they're going to pay for your entire roof. Cost of the roof's going to be like 15. Let's just call it $20,000. But for an additional 15,000, you could go to a metal roof. If you have the 15,000 out of pocket, here's why I would do it. I mean, you seem pretty passionate about
yeah,
the idea. So it's like you could get a metal roof on this property that would cost about $40,000. You could get it done for 15 grand.
yeah,
If the dude's got 15 grand, I'll bet he's doing it.
yeah. And I mean, I've got another homeowner too that they've got a tile roof, and technically, I think I wouldn't call it a downgrade, especially not because they've got faux tile. So it's not actual clay or anything. Their tiles, every time a little bit of wind comes through, they get tiles in their pool, in their front yard and stuff. And so they've had a lot of problems with this roof system. And I've told them, like, if you were to go to metal, it would actually be a little cheaper than what you're at right now.
Okay.
And it would probably benefit you more in the long haul because you wouldn't have to change your roof out for the rest of your life.
But they just love that tile roof.
Yeah, I think they just like the way that it looks.
Look.
And it's I mean, granted it's one of those like Spanish style houses. So I mean it definitely does fit, but I mean also a metal roof would fit on that house too. So
Sure.
it's it's all up to, it's more of a cosmetic thing for them.
Do you run into that a lot? Like, oh, here's a good one. What do you think the well, you'll know the answer to this. What's the number one color right now for a roof?
Weatherwood.
Weatherwood?
Weathered wood. Yeah. So
Is that like gray?
It's kind of a grayish, kind of a brown. You think like you build a deck and then what color it turns to 5 years later.
So that's the number one color.
Yeah.
What's
so
number two?
that gets made in every single brand makes a weathered wood shingle.
Okay.
But yeah, gray with a little bit of brown tone. I think number 2 would probably be a black.
Okay.
Maybe a light gray, but it's going to be the grays, blacks, the browns. Those are going to be the most common colors for sure.
What's the craziest color roof you've ever sold?
Red.
You
I
did?
sold,
You said
yeah,
you
I
sold a
sold
red
I sold 2 red roofs so far. So
What do you think about that?
I personally I would not have put it on my house.
It's all
The homeowner was happy with it. They wanted it. They special ordered it. So I mean it was, but yeah, I'm a very I'm not sure what the word would be. I'm very, I guess, conservative with that kind of stuff. Like I don't want anything that's too flashy or anything like that. I want to kind of be a little more subtle.
Yeah.
I'm putting a weatherwood shingle on my house. They call it the khaki pants of roofing because it goes with everything.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
But yeah, they've got green, blue, and red, and I've only done red so far. So
When I was a kid, there was a development that they did all of the roofs in blue, and I thought it looked so cool, but it was only because I was a kid, and blue was like my favorite color type of thing. And looking back, wasn't terrible, but to your point, it's like, why do you want something to look so
pop out?
Pop
so
out. Yeah, it's like
much,
the color of the walls here, no joke.
Yeah. Wow.
In a shingle. So, well, Satcher, what else do we need to know, man? What do you want to get out to the people as we build your social media presence so that when individuals that are looking you up go, man, I really did like this guy. We should make sure we use him. I don't even care if he's a couple $100 more.
I think just look up. I mean, I don't want to fall on me more than I want to kind of put this to Birdcreek.
Sure.
Look up Birdcreek. We're Central Texas based. We do a lot of great work. I've never personally worked for a company that I've been more proud to work for.
I love that.
So it's I'm happy to be at this company, and I think that everybody should look into it if you're getting your roof replaced for sure.
Where do we can just Google Birdcreek?
Birdcreek Roofing.
Right on, man.
Yep.
Well, I appreciate you coming on and finally doing this. Absolutely. I know that it took some time to get you out of the
build up the courage.
But you did it, man. How was it? Was it as terrible as you anticipated?
Yeah. I mean, I was a little nervous, but but no, I mean, it's well,
here's the
kind of
best
got
part.
settled in.
Yeah, it's like working out, man. You got to
just
make
two
it's just
people
me
in
and
the
you,
room.
man.
Yeah. So.
You got to remember, it's like working out, right? You don't go to the gym and work out one time and then all of a sudden you're like jacked. You got to make sure we have you on here, get you on a couple more times, give it a 30, 60 days from now, because I can assure you that when you listen to this or when you leave here, you're going to go, damn it, I wish I would have said this or thought about bringing up this comment, and that's okay. That's when that's why you remember it, and we come back on and we continue to do this, and I promise it becomes easier and even more fun.
Do you get used to your own voice, like hearing it?
I don't even hear it anymore, but I do remember when I first started, it was like, yeah.
I don't feel like I sound like what I normally sound like.
Oh, don't worry. I'm going to make you sound even better. That's the other part of it. I mean, when you're doing stuff with this equipment, it comes out, won't make you sound and look real.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, you hear your voice on camera and stuff. Like, you're like, wait, that doesn't even sound like me. Like, that's like, I'm listening to it right now in the headphones, and I'm like, this is crazy. But,
does it sound better or worse?
Just different.
Okay.
Yeah, just
All right,
different.
man. Well, I'm going to have it out next week. I'll make sure I try to find your non-existent social media so that we can tag you in there.
Yeah, it's easy to find Satcher Pugh on Instagram. I think it's probably the only Satcher Pugh on Facebook, too.
You might be right.
Yeah, so it's easy to find, and it's out there. I just deleted them, so.
Right on. Well,
trying to grind.
I respect that, man, and I appreciate you doing this. Congratulations on the home purchase and everything,
thank you.
And we'll have you on soon. Hopefully, you're here tomorrow for the barbecue and mingle.
I will not be. We'll be closing.
Bummer.
We'll be closing.
That's right. You
on
did
the
say
house.
that. Congratulations on that, though.
Yeah, next week we will be here.
Thanks.